Antibody.com. Head over to the shop, support the fight, and buy some cool threads. It's the Tits Pajamas. Shop.com.
You go back to sleep? Oh. I didn't sleep that well last night.
That's a relaxed sip. Because we're not on YouTube, so I don't need to worry about...
Yeah.
Well,
that makes life easier.
I don't know if we need to... We need to punch out a little bit here, Quarterback Gary? I just see on the monitor, it looks like my head's cut off a little bit.
No.
The max headroom going on.
good.
There's no YouTube right now, but if you're watching on Rumble or you're watching on Mug Club, which means we can say whatever. Tits! By the way, not that that's controversial, but I can say that they belong exclusively to women.
Do they? Are you?
Can you say that?
We're going to discuss chest feeding later because we are talking about Pete Buttgig's paternity leave.
I'm training.
I'm always confused when I guess it's double paternity leave.
Well, which one gets to choose maternity and which one gets to choose paternity?
I think
bottom?
they both get paternity leave.
The bottom.
Because if we know it, a young developing baby needs their two gay dads. If society and history has taught us anything, that's absolutely
true.
And they specifically need their two gay dads with them with the first 2 months of their life. Otherwise, they could end up, God knows where they end up.
You could just have two dads, like Paul Reiser and the other guy.
Paul Reiser has two dads?
You don't remember the Paul Reiser show, My Two Dads?
Oh, that's right.
Ah.
Yeah.
That's right. I forgot about that. I was thinking Paul Rudd. So we're going to talk about that today. We're also going to. Hey, let me ask you: how have you been affected by the supply chain shortage? This is something while we're talking about the Secretary of Transportation, Pete Buttigieg. Also, we're going to be talking about a little-known potential backlash to the vaccine that Dr. Fauci warned about, that Nobel Prize winners have warned about, and that some of the data is showing us is a possibility. Possibility. Do you know how to pronounce it? No. Is it AIDS?
It's AIDS. I'm like, could you have picked a different name?
Yeah.
That's
It's the new
awkward, man.
version of AIDS that may happen when people take
AIDS.
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 It
does.
It's your immune system collapsing.
It's your immune system
there
collapsing,
you go.
and
Okay,
Fauci will make sure that you have no right to try. It's just like history repeats itself. It's Dallas Buyers Club, only Jared Leto doesn't wear a Buffalo Bill costume. So that's what we're going through right now. You cannot try anything else. You must take the vaccine, AZT, and who knows what kind of side effects long-term may exist. We could never talk about this on YouTube, to be clear. I will tell you today in this show what is verifiable fact, what is irrefutable. We will roll clips. Of course, all sources are available at loudwithcutter.com, all of the references. And I'll tell you when we're making an inference or when qualified medical professionals, not named Dr. Fauci, they still exist, are also making inferences.
Right.
So we have a lot to get to. Gerald A. is here first. How are you, sir?
I am well. How are you?
I don't know. I might be battling a little bit of the COVID because I feel slightly tired.
Well, you did like marathon interviews yesterday.
That's true with Megyn
you did
Kelly. What I mean by that is men can be just as pretty too. You know how you know it's not real? Show me one
sure what they
trans
meant.
male as pretty
don't
as
know.
Megyn Kelly. One. Just one. In the history of humankind, I'll allow you to include the tie. Go. Quarterback Garrett, how are you?
Dig
Good
up
morning. What's
Alexa
going on?
Arquette.
Oh, what?
What's,
Dave,
Sorry.
why are you so
what's going on with
why are you
Dave?
so blurry, bro?
Me?
Hold on, give me
Oh,
give me
he's
give me a
a
Has he
second.
been going to his
blurry.
dealer? What's going on with
my
Dave?
goodness.
I don't know what's happening.
Dave's
with Dave.
fading
All
out.
right, Dave. Well, I'll still talk with you. How are you, sir?
I don't know.
There we go. Nice
All right.
job.
You're going to
look
be
at
at the
that.
improv,
You-
right?
I
You're gonna
got you, bro. I got you.
Yeah, the Improv in Tampa this Friday and Saturday, and then my big California tour next week that I've had it planned for over a year, and I didn't think it would actually happen.
Right.
So, but I will be there.
California
Cautiously
is communist.
optimistic.
Yeah.
Essentially. I mean, maybe.
I mean, they have the big bear.
Well, I used to live there,
definitely, yeah.
and now I don't want to. I don't usually go there.
No, of course. We should absolutely avoid California. It's always funny when you have these Hollywood elite leftists. Recently, some, I guess, numbers came out of people who make money from YouTube and Twitch, and they spend, some people are very, very far left. Some are self-avowed socialists, and they buy like $2-3 million homes in West Hollywood.
Oh, yeah.
Look, it's because of the location. You can't get a $700,000 bungalow in El Segundo and give the rest away to a soup kitchen.
Or move somewhere else that doesn't suck.
Before I get into anything else, I think this is something, too, we've always talked, and we're going to have a mission statement when we come back to YouTube.
Yeah.
This show is focused on personal responsibility, on how you can change your own life, on what you can do to affect change in your community. I think the reason, everyone's a hypocrite, but when you look at, and I mean that, every human walking the earth is a hypocrite. So we start with that as a baseline. But when you look at the Bernie Sanders, when you look at the Joe Bidens of the world, when you look at the Hollywood elites, when they talk about, look, this is the system. I demand to pay higher taxes. I would pay higher taxes if the government policy said so. So really, I'm in the clear here. Hold on a second. It's a lot easier to demand that something that's ultimately out of your control raise the taxes, which, frankly, as far as your personal impact on your local community would be marginal at best. And if you have good accountants, your amount paid would be marginal at best. It's pretty easy to say, I support higher taxes. It's a lot harder to take money from your own paycheck and give it away with no expectation of it in return. And statistically, it's not even close. Democrats don't give. You can look at the tax returns of Joe Biden, least charitable president ever, of Bernie Sanders. Look, I get that you're a part of a system and you would pay higher taxes, but how about you take some personal ownership? And you know what? Just match my percentage.
Yeah. Well,
my percentage it's at least 10%. Then again, I'm one of those old-fashioned Christians. It's a tithe. Sometimes up to 20%.
Yeah.
And I don't believe in a higher tax code.
Well, I think Joe Biden actually wrote off his underwear that he gave to charity. Do you remember when that story was going around?
Yeah.
You can pull that up. I'm pretty
don't
sure.
remember that.
I'm pretty sure.
I think he gave it to Goodwill, and they give you a receipt.
Were they
receipt,
magic
and one of them was
underwear?
like underwear, and I'm like, were they?
I'm pretty sure they're not allowed to accept underwear.
Well, they shouldn't be allowed.
Who is going to buy shit-covered underwear?
Well, it could be for a costume.
Pardon
thing.
my language.
It was a
but-
box of unused Depends because he had to upgrade sizes.
I see. That
Listen,
makes
if
sense.
you're desperate to get a COVID mask, you'll do whatever it takes.
I think it's
Yes.
got to be hard to be a real estate agent, even in LA. I don't get it. Like you were just talking about the housing costs.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's like this is $3 billion, and you get to live on a hill that's slowly decaying.
Right.
Yeah.
Your
Like,
house will eventually just fall in the ocean.
like $3 billion, you just point to the 5 homeless guys. How do they do it? We don't know.
We're
Yes.
not, they think TikTok. I mean,
I don't know.
Free-spirited.
I
This
think
is
there's
a
something about
garage.
pooping in the streets which null and voids the contract. I don't know. The point is you have to pay, and they don't.
That garage is where they smeared Roman Polanski's wife's blood.
Yeah, there you go.
1.3 million.
it went up after that.
Yeah.
No offense, but it sounds like some fucking commie gobbledygook.
All right, so before we get to, we have that clip from CNN this morning, which is hilarious, and we are going to be talking about this immune. I always forget what it means. Antibody. What's AIDS? Can someone tell me? I always forget the actual term.
Autoimmune.
Immune deficiency. I forget what my doctor said.
Antibody-dependent enhancements.
Antibody-dependent enhancement syndrome, which is from taking
Antibody.
vaccines and your body basically not being able to fight off variants, or it in fact encouraging the virus to find new hosts through creating other variants. Right?
Could
And this
say
is
that's
something that
bad.
we could say that it's bad, and we're going to talk about that. Gets a little nerdy, but before that, the left on TikTok, the good thing is they're being productive now. They're finally trying to explain to us their preferred pronouns instead of just screaming about it.
That's good.
So it is always important for us to sit down and listen to what they have to say and still remain incredibly confused.
Hi, my name's Jasper. I use they it pronouns.
Hi, my name is Liana. I use they demon pronouns.
This video is how to use our pronouns.
So we're going to basically present 3 sentences. One of them is going to have one pronoun, the other one's going to have the other pronoun, and then the last one is going to have both pronouns interchanged.
It's Freak
So
Show
Liana uses
DNA!
pronouns and demon pronouns. So the first sentence would be, Liana is my partner.
I'm
They're
Edward
cute,
Furlong
and I
in
am
the
theirs.
5th
I
Crow
love them very
movie.
much, and I hope they love themselves too. For the demon pronouns, it would be, Liana is my partner. Deem is cute.
You know who
and I
else has
belong to
those
Deem.
tears? It's
I love
Dad.
Demon very much, and I hope Deem loves Demon's self too.
Oh,
And
They just
demon
two
pronoun.
would be, Liana is my partner.
What's the pronoun for the Weekend
They're
at Bernie's
cute,
shirt?
and
What do we
I
use
am
for those?
I love Demon very much.
The
and I
Andrew
hope they
McCall-
love Demon's self too.
Can you imagine if a demon
goodness.
showed up in a Weekend at Bernie's shirt?
Oh,
It's like,
man.
hold on a second. Are you Beelzebub or Dickie Greenleaf?
I don't think you've been acquainted with demons.
You just got to carry it around like Bernie.
Yes.
These are my preferred demons. And by the way, for people out there who say, see, it's a satanic cabal, these are just kids who are trying to be edgelords to offend.
Right.
And ultimately, what's ironic is they are Satanists because they're worshiping themselves, and we are told to worship ourselves. That's how you end up with 14-year-olds who toss on some Alice Cooper makeup and claim that their pronouns are demon self.
Were they both girls initially?
Let's not go down that rabbit hole.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they just clarified they're not.
Yes.
When being lesbian is not enough.
Right.
Yes. They're not, but you just said with Alice Cooper makeup, you're not doing anything original. This is 40 years old.
Right, yeah.
Exactly. Oh, more teens in makeup. Ooh.
Wow.
So shocking.
Wow.
Call me when you bite the head off a bat.
Yeah, do that.
Well, they're doing that too.
Commit.
Throw a chicken on stage. See what you do with it.
Do we have the CNN clip?
Yeah.
Do we have? Okay, I don't see it here in the map. But let's roll this. This was going on this morning here.
Okay.
I was telling
It's a little
Dave
further
about
down,
this.
yeah.
It's a little further. Well, I'll hit this off the top. On CNN, this is the story right now, of course, is parents are threatening teachers.
Yeah.
Parents are, and by threatening, I mean they're showing up and they're angry. And by the way,
Rightfully so.
I love
think,
how we say that teachers and nurses are the real heroes, but specifically teachers.
Yeah.
And they go, we're the real heroes, as though they're getting off boats where the door goes down the second they show up at Omaha Beach and half of their friends get their brains blown out.
Right.
And in this case, their equivalent to is just, hey, you're not good at your job. And they're shell-shocked.
Nobody's ever told me that before.
So and of course, the media, we've been watching CNN. I haven't seen them cover the Loudoun County situation at all. They did back when they were showing how violent that father was
Right, yeah.
because his daughter had been raped. But I haven't seen the Me Too network covering the school board that effectively swept under the rug transgender rape of a young girl. And then, of course, because they didn't do enough, there were no repercussions, went on to sexually assault another girl. I haven't seen them cover that, but they've been talking about parents, for example, complaining that their daughters are getting raped and that they need to be investigated by the FBI, DOJ as domestic terrorists, right? So what kind of, and I know, listen, there are domestic terrorists. Remember after 9/11, remember the anthrax scare?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Remember that? Yeah. And I used to, just to speed up customs, I would just drive, when I used to go from Canada to Plattsburgh and I was going back, I would just say anything to declare. I would say, you tell me, and have an envelope with powdered sugar go, and I just drive off.
Yeah, I mailed flour to all my loved ones.
Did you? Yes.
It's my Christmas card that
Just
year.
make sure it's on clear
Merry
weather, because if it rains, it cakes.
It does, and they're like, this is an anthrax.
This is not
That was
anthrax.
Dave trying to do drug trafficking the bad way.
Wait,
I was.
Wait, is this anthrax, or is this just Dave's old flour in the mail envelope trick?
He always does this.
One of these days.
So the equivalent to the greatest generation, they got PTSD from bombs, carrying their friends' guts through the sand, fighting off Hitler. Let's look. This is an entire segment on CNN. I was watching this morning from my shower, because in my shower I have a little speaker.
Yeah.
And I saw what they show as the threat on the teacher's doorstop. And you'll see and I thought, like, they can't be serious. I was like, I had to go through the fog of this. Like, really? This is national news? This is actually a real segment that just aired 2 hours ago on CNN, The Horror of Teachers.
A school board member in St. Charles, Illinois, resigning after what she calls unrelenting harassment from community members who don't agree with the board's views on in-person learning, mask requirements, and
Put in
other
quotes,
issues.
unrelenting.
My next guest
watch
claims
this.
that she has been harassed all sorts of different ways, and a warning that we do have an image here that may be disturbing for some, but we want to show you something that she's dealt with here. This is a dead mouse.
Oh, no.
She joins us now, Carolyn Weibel.
Warning!
Caroline, I want to thank you
Something
for
that
being with
everyone
us.
who's
I
ever
think
had a
it's important
cat
that
sees
people
every
know
week.
what
Just
it is
like
you're
a
dealing
horse
with
head
just
in
to
a
be
bed.
on the school board.
You done
resigned, but
pissed
just
off
tell us
the,
about the kind of
the
harassment
Cheeserelli gang.
Thank you, Brianna, for inviting
The
me
Chuck E.
today,
Cheese Union.
First off, so it has come in lots of different forms.
Yeah.
This is my second term. I was first elected in 2017.
Well, then you must be very
my
proud of
second term here
yourself.
is 2021. Some of the harassment has been online, unrelenting.
Are you watching
online social
Coffee
media
Talk with
attacks.
Mike Myers?
That's been
Yes,
difficult
with Linda
for-
Richmond.
For an elected official
Look,
these days.
unrelenting
But
harassment.
they've
This is
crossed the
terrorism.
line
Let's
with
hear what-
personal family
Sorry.
Crossed the line with what?
posts. There's threatening and harassing emails. The first one was one that threatened the board as to, if you recall, the Utah board that was forced out of their room, and it said, "You're next." So
Oh
He
my God!
reported some
You
of those
might be
the
next
local
to be
police
forced
department,
out of a room.
and then they
Please
Oh,
don't tell
no.
me it's
decide what
into
is
ballroom B. There could be dead
threat
mice in there.
assessment and go from there. There has been vandalism to my home. There
She's
was,
reading off a
someone
Tell us,
that
tell
came
us
on
what happened to your home.
Well, someone, and again, we don't know who, but there was wires cut on my unplugged and or cut on my air conditioning unit. So
It's
we
the
had to
fall, sweetheart.
replace that in the
Do you think it
home.
was maybe the mice
Someone
problem
came
you
on
have?
the premise and
Possibly.
unplugged a refrigerator freezer in my garage.
Unplugged
and
the
then
refrigerator in the garage.
entered, or opened the door into the laundry room very loudly.
Okay.
When I was home, and by the time I got there, there was no one there.
Is this a
So
ghost
those
story?
It's a
reports have
ghost
been
story,
filed,
yeah.
I think so.
But no evidence as to who it was. At this
No
time.
evidence as to. All right, that's
but
enough.
all
No evidence. Like
intimidation
someone
tactics-
came into my house and
Right.
unplugged my KitchenAid, and then closed the laundry room door. No evidence as to who it was yet, but the reports are filed. Really? What? It's like you're describing a ghost story. Like,
Yeah.
It's the lady in the blue dress who opens the laundry door and then closes it and somehow evades your Ring doorbell.
I hear
Yeah,
footsteps.
I love
The
how she's like,
batteries on my remote keep going out, and the candles seem to go out when I open a window.
Whenever
I don't know,
I
it's
rewind on my Amazon Prime, it only seems to have the mode of go back 15 seconds or DeLorean. There's no in between.
I keep
I suspect the KKK.
I keep forgetting my Wi-Fi passcode. I'm pretty sure it's Trump supporters.
Yes.
That's what it is.
Yes.
it's mind control. I love how she's like, yeah, we have no idea who's doing this, but it must be because I'm on the school board.
Oh,
and very
that's
important.
Why don't you take $200 and go buy a Ring doorbell?
By the way, the mouse could have just ended it all right there and said goodbye, cruel world, and died on her porch. Like, come on.
Well, I'm willing to bet she's a crazy cat lady, so I think we know what happened.
It
there.
could be a
It's
trophy.
a present.
You don't think that lady has cats?
Well,
Come
there's a
on, you have
high
to
likelihood.
bet. Vaccine to your head. Does she have cats?
One time I was high. Maybe I shouldn't share this, but I was very young. I was probably 31.
Yeah.
I was
Several weeks ago.
I was 15 and I thought it'd be fun. I'm just walking out and there was a dead pigeon on my neighbor's lawn.
Yeah.
So I picked it up and I put it in her door mail slot.
Of course.
She was a slightly older woman.
Yeah.
And then I left and she came over and told my mom, like, your son put a dead pigeon through the mail. Like, she was just sitting there reading the paper
Oh,
and a
she
dead
caught
bird
you.
came through. And I was like, what kind of psychotic Jeffrey Dahmer stuff is that? I didn't do that, Mom. She's a liar.
A pigeon
And
probably flew in there.
Yeah, my mom believed me, but I was like, I totally did it.
Well, we've now solved the caper
The confession.
of the dead racist mouse. Hey, look, here's the thing. I don't want any teachers threatened. Well, that's not true. That's not true. I'm a little okay. Just to be clear, I'm a little okay with school board members being threatened to cover up rape of a young girl. And I don't mean like anything. I don't mean like level of dead mice, but like maybe, hey, my daughter was raped. You're kind of a bitch. I'm okay with that.
Exactly. Or we're going to threaten you with, like she referred to in Utah. You guys
You're
have to
next.
resigning.
Or you
Either
raped
do-
my daughter. Here's a dead rat.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, it seems even.
I'm not sure how that works.
Oh, is that the one who called your daughter a lying bitch who was raped by the transgender student in the bathroom who then went on to rape somebody else? Yeah, toss a dead guinea pig in her back porch. Call it a day. You're about
Yeah.
even Stevens.
Either her dad or the neighborhood cat.
Yes.
Ugh, how dare you be
Or
threatened.
just a short life cycle of a mouse, especially if it's chewing on Freon
Yeah.
from your air conditioner that you're still running in October for some reason.
right.
Poor little
Yeah, I
guy.
feel there's a connection.
I'm always hot. Yeah, maybe it's your 19th layer of skin. So look, here's the thing. I don't want any.
Menopausal idiot.
I don't want anybody to be threatened, to be clear. But let's compare. Let me just compare this. I don't know the threats that everyone has received, and I used to not talk about the specific threats that I've received because you don't want copycats. But now I have so many guns and such great security, I don't really care. That, she says, harassment, mean emails. Okay, I already get those. I get those by the hundreds, right, daily. From people as well as governments. People saying mean things. All right, fine. I mean, I have dead mice. I never considered it a threat, but I'll assume that they are now. I've also had terrorists. First off, I'm on the ISIS kill list. I was found out about that there isn't a long ISIS kill list, but I'm on like the premium,
Yeah.
gold status.
VIP.
Did you see the mice's kill list?
It's going around.
It's just where the mice. They're not great terrorists. They show up on a plane and say "Happy birthday." You're a horrible.
Bring you pizza.
So it's very stupid. It shows off to a great start. So I had someone post my address, my wife's work address, the path to her work, calling her a whore who, of course, goes against the will of Allah and to kill us both. Had the local police show up because a fan, we talked about this in London, read the comment. We were able to geotrace it. I had someone hand my producer an ice pick, a stun gun, a knife, and then say, wait, we're going to go get sawed-off shotguns for Ben Shapiro as he was about to take the stage from Antifa members in Utah. I've had people call other folks to slash my tires and firebomb my car. I've been punched in the face repeatedly, live on air. Why? Because they convinced a mob of union workers when Michigan was going right to work that I was the Van Andel or DeVos's grandson. My point is, it's a little bit different than a dead rodent that costs you 79 cents at the pet store. I don't think you're a real hero.
No, and by the way, don't leave out. You've got a couple of countries that want your head, right?
Germany.
So the entire country of Pakistan, and then Germany, which we all know when they get pissed off at somebody, things end up happening.
Boy, I don't want to be the reason for Germany going, number 3.
Yeah, no, I've had my family doxxed, their lives threatened. It's really very exciting, the things that have had, all because I took a radio job for 4 days once.
Right. Did you get any dead mice on your doorstep?
Well,
tell me when you join the Dead Mice Club.
As soon as something real threatening happens, I'll let you know.
Yes.
Don't call us, sir, at the police department until you have a dead mouse.
Well, that's the thing. They're also great bank robbers, the Dead Mice Society.
Someone put a possum in my mailbox.
They had to.
It was a ferret.
Yeah.
Oh, well, this is sorry. This is clearly. I thought it was the work of the KKK. This is clearly the work of militiamen.
Someone stuffed it with Freon and left it on my porch.
She's the kind of broad who would find a roach next to a can of Raid and be like, "It's Tucker Carlson snuck in at night."
Leaving me roaches.
And CNN takes it seriously.
Yeah.
This is the beauty. It's a slow news day.
Yeah.
I'm letting you know. CNN tries to make you think that matters. Okay.
Well, what's funny is it's CNN's fault.
Yes.
The whole story is their fault when you think about it. They're the ones that have been reporting all this stuff that makes the parents angry. They're the ones that have completely pushed that agenda. She's quitting her job basically because of the woman she's talking to, and I stand by that.
Yes, I absolutely agree. Irrefutable. Okay, we're going to move on to another. So this new movie, anyone here, I guess you haven't seen it, Halloween Kills is the new.
Which one?
Yeah, it's the new one.
Like
Well, Danny McBride writes them, and they're pretty good, I got to be honest.
The first
Danny McBride?
the first reboot wasn't bad, but I haven't seen the new one. It was released over the weekend. For those of you who don't know, here is Jamie Lee Curtis in a Jamie Lee Curtis mask.
What do we do? We fight.
Let's hunt him down.
Michael Myers is flesh and blood. But a man couldn't have survived that fire. The more he kills, the more he transcends.
All right.
It's a ghost.
That's actually when she's laying in the hospital and deciding if she wants to keep her penis or vagina.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Well, actually,
Come on,
she's
guys.
gauging whether the colostomy bag will hold because of her 9th Activia yogurt.
Boy, she sure has told the world she's had bowel trouble since the late 90s.
Hey, but she's regular
She
now.
is
Yeah, she's all right.
just like you. There's something so I'd never realized what it is. What's so off-putting about Jamie Lee Curtis is she's done those commercials for Activia, and it's all about how much she poops.
It is.
It is.
It's just like
I feel like at this point, Michael Myers just wants to be left alone. It looks like she brought the fight. Like, we've got to hunt him.
Yeah.
We've got to. I'm like, he's like, I'm done. I'm out.
Well,
he's sitting there with his latte. He's like, this bitch.
Well, much
Again?
like Rambo
Pulling me
Last
back
Blood, the last Halloween was pretty much Home Alone meets Halloween.
Yes.
Because she sets up all these traps for her brother. But it's good. Yeah, like Danny McBride writes them. And it's a continuation from the first movie, nothing else.
Oh,
Okay.
it skips all the other
So
stuff.
it skips all the
there's a
others.
little more because the star, Jamie Lee Curtis, compared it, of course, to January 6th. Saying the second movie is about mob violence. We have just in America watched a mob descend on January 6th with nooses and stun guns and members of Congress in the building, and we all watched it on TV.
You are fake news.
I don't. But shouldn't the Haddonfield mob want to kill Michael Myers in this
Yeah.
movie?
Yeah.
In other words, wouldn't the January 6th people be the hero if they actually? I mean, they didn't commit violence, but if they actually committed violence, the point is, I don't understand. In this film, you want the mob to kill Michael Myers.
If Michael Myers was in Congress,
Yeah.
and January 6th happened, Wouldn't that be a good thing if
Right.
Michael Myers, the killer, not a,
Right.
Not saying that there's anybody in politics that have murdered many people.
No, and at least Michael Myers wouldn't have declared the election.
No. He would have stayed out of it.
Michael Myers,
he knows it.
you always let me finish my piece. That's what I love about you. This election was rigged. Please, if you are not going to certify it, say nothing. Okay.
He's actually a Bernie supporter, from what I
Is he?
understand. Yeah, he's an
From what I
equal
hear.
opportunity murderer.
My Myers kills the rich and the poor. There's no difference. And he tips precisely 18%.
And anytime I've ever seen Mike Myers on a plane, never in first class.
Never in first class.
Always.
My Michael Myers, the Michael I know, rides economy plus plus.
What's the difference?
No free cocktail.
Good for you, you
How's he
man of
going to
the
drink
people.
with that mask on anyway? It's barely a sacrifice.
Hey, by the way, if you're watching here on Rumble, you can subscribe to the podcast on Apple, on Spotify, if you are on Android. We don't know when we'll be back on YouTube, probably next week, but please, people who are watching this elsewhere, just know that you can subscribe on there, and hopefully eventually they'll let us do video. It's a live show, Monday through Thursday, 10 a.m. Eastern, every Monday through Thursday.
Yeah.
Just wake up with us.
Smash that thing.
And we'll, if you're on Rumble, and we'll take your comments in a little bit.
Or if you're Jamie Lee Curtis, you can watch it on your clogged toilet.
Yes.
Well, you're.
I thought it was more soupy, really.
It's just Michael Myers shows up with a plunger.
This is why I started killing people.
Why do you have all this Pedialyte balance?
Why do you think I wear this jumpsuit?
All this cheese as well.
Yeah.
Just a sweat jumpsuit for like when you work out. How long has she been in there? She's going to get blood clots.
Oh, man. That's not good.
And she stumbles out in the dark because her legs have fallen asleep. They kill her. They think she's Michael Myers.
She's like, oh.
No, I just sit forever.
Oh, no.
Took a poo.
Oh, no. The mob's after me now.
Put my elbows on my thighs when eating my phone.
Well, I can't stop eating that. I'm so good at Kibio.
There's an Activia fridge next to the toilet.
Just a
mini
vending
fridge.
machine. Before Michael Myers is walking up to the Ring doorbell. He's going,
She's selling her Malibu house. It's a 1-bedroom, 38-bathroom.
Michael Myers doesn't want to get close to her, so he just leaves her a dead mouse.
I've never seen anything so horrible.
All right. Well, you know what? I got something else for you. John Kerry. So there you go. We're
around,
continuing on the monster theme. They did the MASH. So he's the climate czar. This is a guy, and this is a contrast that I think matters because I am not an economic protectionist in the sense that I think that, don't necessarily be American by American, be American by the best. And especially sometimes when you have something made by communists in China or communist unions here in the United States, the communist Chinese stuff is cheaper. But I also understand that we have a problem with unfair competition with countries who don't treat our goods fairly. And of course, it's impossible to compete with third world slave labor. So I think if nothing else, wherever you line up, I know we have libertarians and we have more sort of populist conservatives. I think that no one can argue with the basic premise that Donald Trump loved America and wanted to put Americans to work, wanted to prioritize their work possibilities over that of people in other countries. I think everyone would have to agree with that. All right, Donald Trump, because if you accuse him of being a nationalist, well, what does that entail?
Right,
Putting America first. Let's contrast that with John Kerry, who is touting job creation in the automotive sector in Mexico. Here you go.
But Mexico's industrial base, already deeply integrated with the rest of North America, absolutely stands to benefit from the energy transition. For example, when we switch from gasoline to electrify vehicles, there are going to be a lot of good paying jobs here in Mexico because of the connection already of the automobile industry and our two countries.
So a couple of things there before I go to the clip of Donald Trump. First off, he's saying the energy transition. What does that mean? Coercion by government, right? Not that the market is going to determine this, but we are going to force conversions of gasoline vehicles, or certainly the sales of gasoline vehicles into electrical vehicles. Number two, how are you going to power the electric vehicles? Number three, how does that create jobs in Mexico, considering they don't have the same kind of EPA regulations? What are you saying, that we are going to get our energy for electric vehicles from Mexico? Because I'm willing to bet that's going to be a whole lot dirtier than what I pick up at Quick Trip.
Yeah.
Yes, and number 4, he hates gasoline because fire bad.
Yes.
Well,
yes. He's more. He's a jet fuel guy.
Yeah.
He's a Frankenstein monster.
I'm sure the UAW guys loved hearing that speech. They're like, oh, good. So maybe you're going to actually make the cars in Mexico and then just bring them across and we're all out of a job.
Well, you know what? That's perfect. Perfect segue, as we call it. Segway. Hey, that's an electric thing that didn't work. So
That's how I got to work today.
Did you?
3 hours.
I got to work on a hoverboard. My arm still doesn't work.
Yeah, it would have taken 2, but there was a ledge.
Yes. There was like, oh, careful, slight curb. It's the transportation of the future. Can you get on sidewalks? No, you don't know anything about this. What if it actually has the little ramp? Doesn't matter. Still doesn't work.
I hit a mouse with it. It was fine.
Yes.
The mouse got up and walked away.
Couldn't even use it to torture a teacher.
Could be a field mouse, not a city mouse. Possum, out of the question. All right. So here is Donald Trump talking about punishing plants that push their jobs to Mexico to then try and re-import American products.
Companies are not going to leave the United States anymore without consequences. Not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Tell you right now. We're losing so much. And we like Mexico. We think it's wonderful. I was there 3 months ago with the president of Mexico. Terrific guy. But we have to have a fair shake. We're not getting anything. We have NAFTA, which is a total and complete disaster. It's a total and
That's when he
complete
won
disaster.
Democrats, by the way.
Yeah.
It's a one-lane highway into Mexico. They'll be taxed very heavily at the border. If they want to leave, fire all their people, leave, make product in different companies in different countries, and then think they're going to sell that product over the border, which, by the way, will be a very strong border. Very strong border.
Very strong border. We're just going to have John Kerry with one door opening up saying, "You rag."
Well, NAFTA was a Clinton thing, and so many people thought it was Bush, and it wasn't.
Yeah, NAFTA, and then you look at Barack Obama, TPP, the continuation of that, making it worse. Look, it's just really difficult to have someone in the United States. You can't demand a $15 minimum wage and then plan for some globalist economy where people have to make 15, I don't know, Tupperware containers by the end of the day, or they get a bullet in the back of their back and then the bill sent to the family.
Right, exactly. It doesn't make any sense at all. And you can't, the same people that are arguing for that are going to also say, well, don't try to make other countries like the United States. We're like, well, what do you want? Do you want them to make 50 cents a day, or do you want them to have a living wage there and then they can import goods to us, or do you want them to have to pay the tariff? Which one?
By the way, in rural Mexico, if you threaten someone with a dead mouse, they pick it up and cook it.
That's true.
It's a gift.
He's very good with black beans and rice. Yeah. City mouse, poor mouse. Oh, the city's okay for a visit, but you couldn't make me live there. So
there's a dead mouse on the porch. What's wrong? It's next to our dad's head on the back of a turtle.
Oh, that's a problem. But I think I heard you say free food.
He is not. He is Slowpoke Rodriguez.
That was his nickname in school. Oh, my God. How long has he been on the turtle? Too long. Yeah.
Too long.
Like
too
10
long.
years. He has a social security number and everything.
Yeah.
They call him Turtle Guy.
Turtle guy.
We got curvy women.
Caruama.
Yes.
But then when they get older, he's no good.
Well, it's like, depends. Like, they have shape if you like the shape of a bumblebee.
Basically.
I made your car. I made $3 making your
Yeah,
car.
that's it. Yeah, it's a good car. Have fun with the brakes.
Yes, I put no effort in.
No, I replaced the pads with a dead mouse. Have fun. Okay. Go downhill in San Francisco real fast. Yeah.
Yes. He's a 2022 teacher.
You see the movie? You see the movie Bullet? You see? Yes. Do that. Okay. Okay. In other news, this is fantastic.
That's right.
Mm-hmm. It's Pete Buttigieg's big day off. Yeah, or 2 months off, actually.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
He's the walrus.
I wonder how he gets his hair so sticky.
Hair glue. just like the pro
Is that
athletes
what it
use.
is? That's him getting in the shower.
Yes. So Pete Buttigieg has been on paternity leave for 2 months.
Wow.
Really?
Nobody noticed.
He's the Secretary of Transportation, just in case people forgot.
I hope he's cocoa buttering those stretch marks.
Yes.
Oh.
Right. Yeah. It's more of a bleaching, really.
Prosthetics.
So Buttigieg has been on paternity leave for 2 months.
Buttigieg.
Sure.
Buttigieg, come on.
And he got into a little bit of a tiff with with known thrower of dead mice, Tucker Carlson.
Oh, yes, known.
When Tucker Carlson questioned why Buttigieg needed 2 months off and brought up this crazy concept of chest feeding. Here you go.
Pete Buttigieg has been on leave from his job since August after adopting a child. Paternity leave, they call it, trying to figure out how to breastfeed. No word on how that went.
What's your response? As you might imagine, we're bottle feeding.
Oh, is that what Alfred E. Newman does?
We're bottle feeding.
We're bottle feeding. Here's the thing. Why would we assume he's bottle feeding? I didn't assume.
No.
I would never assume that 2 men would bottle feed because we have been told, of course, and I have accepted wholesale, lest I be guilty of hate speech, that men are entirely capable of chest feeding. This is how I was taught.
This argument is stupid. I'm going to tell you why. Because there are instances where cis men have been able to chest feed and lactate. That's a thing.
That's disgusting.
And here is, I warn you, actually disturbing imagery, and by that I don't mean a sleeping mouse. Here is an example of chest feeding in process.
The baby has been able to latch, but I've not been able to produce any milk.
Who figured?
Because we're going to supplement the feeding with formula so that my baby's still getting the nutrients that they need.
Oh, you don't say.
Oh my goodness.
Wow, this is the exact moment that I've given up.
This
no
is
other
it.
way to put this is it.
This is it.
I'm so shocked you weren't able to lactate. You're a man.
Well,
forgive me.
My friend's dad, we're not friends anymore, but my friend's dad had lactating nipples and webbed feet when we were a kid.
Oh, yeah.
And it's, the whole family's just a mess.
I've got nipples, Dave. Can you milk me?
Can you milk me, Greg?
Can you milk?
But, I mean,
I don't know why I keep breastfeeding him. He just keeps shrinking.
Men can
very
lactate.
off weight.
Men can lactate, but it's usually a freak thing.
It's a problem.
Yeah, you don't want to give it. It's not like
it's not nutrient dense.
Yes, what I do is I squeeze it into a bowl and feed my baby like a kitty.
Looks like the earlier iterations of Voldemort.
By the way, was that are those twins that adopted that kid?
Yeah, I don't know.
That was a that
they look like they should be doing a dance on the beach at a pig roast bonfire.
That was a man who transitioned to a woman, and then laying next to that person was a woman who transitioned to a man who used to have the proper equipment but no longer does.
Oh, well, I didn't know that The Rock's character in Moana couldn't breastfeed young twins.
I was just thinking that, if instead of being strong, he was garbage.
Yeah, those tits must make it hard to play the tiny ukulele.
Why are you not being arrested? Like, this should really be something where social services should show up and go,
That poor kid.
Oh, I've been able
our
to get
son
it.
has been able to latch, and I'm like, yes, and be pissed off because there's no there.
He's not latching. He's trying to give you a titty twister to get you the hell off of him.
Well, he's latching because he's starving.
Yeah.
Well, if you've ever had a baby, they latch on everything.
Give a kid some Activia yogurt.
Oh, it's been able to latch. Oh, does that happen when you jam your nipple in its mouth?
Yeah.
Is that what you call latching? You piece of shit.
It's just playing somewhere over the rainbow.
Yeah,
Baby's milk.
Baby's just got. He's not been able to have any milk, but he does have a mouthful of chest hair.
And blood because I'm bleeding from the bite.
Seriously, take that kid and give it to anyone.
Yeah. Yeah.
Better off.
It's better over the scoutmaster with a heart on.
It's called a pup tent, Dave.
I'm sorry.
And it's your first merit badge. It was my only merit badge.
Now start a fire.
It's seriously better with.
Do the Flint method.
You tell me that baby's better in that home than, like, I don't know, an an orphanage. Is
Yeah,
that what they call them these
exactly.
days?
Yeah, no, the kid would be
Or
better
a
off.
foster home where you've heard there's been problems, but nobody's been able to prove
At that point, you'd roll the dice. Like, hold on a
Yeah.
second. I don't know what goes on behind closed doors here. Not thrilled about that. In this case, nipple hair.
Yeah. We'll put it over here.
Yeah, you know, let's put it over here.
We're gonna set it in a bear trap where it's safer.
Can you imagine Child Protective Services showing up? Yeah, we've got a complaint. There's no real easy way to say this. You wouldn't happen to be jamming your giant, fat, sweaty, hairy tits in your child's face, would you?
And you're also a man, sir. I mean, a beautiful and brave woman, sir, that used to be. Okay, got it.
Yeah, by the way, how are you a woman? You're really not putting in 110%.
No, I mean, we understand the tits, but let's be honest. You didn't even buy them.
That's a diet issue.
Yeah, that's. Yeah, even if you were lactating, you think anything nutritious is coming out of that guy?
It's just going to be the filling from Little Debbie's.
It's just cream, except it's expired.
It's a lumpy.
Come on, ringing a dinner bell. Ding, 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 get your curdled milk. Oh. And then Pete, my point here is Pete Buttigieg has the gall to act. Here's the problem with comedy with the left. This is why they can't do it. Because they can't have a fundamental premise. You need a fundamental premise that is based on truth, right? That's what you need for a bait and switch. That's what you need to contrast it with the absurd. When he goes, well, apparently, I guess Tucker Carlson hasn't heard of bottle feeding. Hold on a second. It's not only breastfeeding with women or men bottle feeding. You said that we can't assume, and we just watched something that I can never get out.
Yeah, I'll never be the same.
What do you think of that kid?
Well, he'll never be anything.
You don't think that's going to mess up that kid? Having what was once a joke on Family Guy that Peter tried to breastfeed Stewie.
Oh,
is
yeah.
Now like, well, that's whoever thought that there would be people sending in a letter to the network over that being offensive? Well, actually, a lot of us do that, and it's insensitive.
Right.
Beautiful experience.
Do you know what happens when a baby latches and doesn't get what it's going for?
Please tell me it somehow kills its host.
Well, no, it gets pissed off. You make the child angry because it's like, I'm hungry. I'm trying to do what I've been programmed to do, which you guys don't know what the hell you've been programmed to do because you're putting me on a man's tit that doesn't have milk. Can you fix this?
You just used the word man's tit, and I accepted it.
Yeah, I didn't even flinch.
I know. Wait, where is the Overton window?
It's moved.
Like Frogger.
Everything that you do isn't right.
No.
Can we just, I mean, seriously,
it's crazy we have to say that.
We're going way too far now. Where it's like, look, it's just, that's not how it works. I'm sorry that you want to play pretend, and somehow it's mean if I tell you that's wrong. Yeah. But stop it.
But the issue here is, again, this is where people say, well, it's a slippery slope. Where do you draw the line? And I just draw the line and say, men and women are different. They've always been different, okay? They're not fundamentally the same. That's it. A man can't turn into a woman can't turn into a man. That's just, I get that some people are confused. You want to say third gender, but we don't accept it as a part of our foundational society as normal and healthy, and certainly not when you're talking about rearing children. Because unless you draw that line, then how do you draw the line at, all right, we can have a guy who dresses up like a girl and a girl who actually still dresses up like a girl but claims to be pansexual, and they adopt a kid, and then you say, okay, well, I guess that's better than an orphanage. And then all of a sudden, when they try to shove their giant, sweaty, hairy tit in its mouth, they're like, no, that's a bridge too far. My point is, you have to draw the line at some point. Also, isn't it kind of funny that Pete Buttigieg was gone for 2 months and nobody noticed? That's how you realize the government is useless and inept. He took 2 months paternity leave, and no one even checked in with HR. Was like, hey, you seen Pete around?
We want him back. No. And by the way, when that came out, when everybody was like, oh, he's been gone for 2 months, immediately he's back on the morning shows on Sunday morning. Like, oh, no, I've been here the whole time doing my job.
Yeah, didn't you see? Just he slapped a dead mouse on his office
such
chair.
an authentic guy. The guy who drives a tank that gets 2 miles per gallon a block from his work and then gets on a bike.
No.
I bike to work.
Yeah, every day.
Yeah. Hey, I noticed your bike doesn't have a seat.
Yes. And never will.
I love how his qualifications are being the mayor of South Bend, Indiana.
Yeah.
Without the University of Notre Dame, South Bend would not exist.
Right.
I'm sorry. Pete, you didn't do anything.
And by the way, full disclosure, we give, when people have, I didn't get to do this myself, but when people have kids here, we do like 2 weeks paternity leave just because we want them to spend time with their kids.
Yeah.
Small business wouldn't be able to afford to just be like, oh, yeah, go away for 2 months, because we'd actually notice if someone was gone. Or
2 months.
They're important.
Did they both get 2 months off?
Well, technically, a lot of people will get 90 days off. 12 weeks is typical maternity leave.
No, but for the dad.
Well, but that's what I'm saying. Who got to choose paternity and maternity? Like which? Like did they paper rock?
I don't
who wears
know.
the pants?
And
He's the breadwinner, right?
Yeah.
Well,
and it's really weird to go into your office and say, I need 2 months paternity leave or I can't breastfeed my child.
And they're like, well, of course.
You got to do what you got to do.
I don't want to come off as insensitive.
That sentence totally makes sense.
Do you have someone who can fill in? Oh, we'll slap a dead mouse on your chair. Call it a day.
What do you do? Well, I am the National Transportation Secretary, and we have a crisis right now in the supply chain globally.
Well, you know what? What you going to do? Okay.
He is a secretary.
Mission accomplished.
Guess that is why he gets to take 2 months off.
Basically.
Because you got a lady's job.
Yeah. And his work, half of his work consists of lobbying to dress up in a replica to scale Marilyn Monroe costume and sing "Happy Birthday, Mr. President." You're just like, no. He's like, I'll see you again tomorrow. I'll bring a better case. No more PowerPoints, butt kick.
Stop it.
Happy birthday. No, I've already heard it. You have the voice of an angel, but it's still off-putting.
That thing is flopping around in the wind.
Can I go to China?
like
I hear they have really good COVID tests. over there.
Yes, they do. All right. Speaking of the COVID, hold on a second here. I gotta. You can comment below. By the way, do you agree with 2 months paternity leave? I don't know.
Necessary?
Do you
Not
agree with
necessary.
is chest feeding a thing? I just find it so funny. Like, oh, Tucker, you idiot! You haven't heard of bottle feeding? You told us we can't assume bottle feeding. No, of course, any sane person would assume that a father is bottle feeding. But what if this was just all one big giant ad for Similac?
That stuff works.
Big
Gotcha!
Similac.
Big Similac is a big deal, though.
Big Similac.
I had to buy Similac. Man, that stuff is expensive.
Oh, yeah, we have to do
They
that
put
now,
it behind the
too.
glass.
Do you? Yeah, the croup, huh? A little bit of the acid reflux.
Yeah, a little bit of the acid reflux, and Similac babies are expensive.
You can save money if you steal it, but they started putting it in those cases.
Yeah.
Because of you, Dave.
I don't care who it was because of.
Well, you know what? If in San Francisco, just go into a Walgreens.
Oh,
Yeah.
well,
That's
anything
rather
under
similar.
$1,000, and they give you a
Walgreens.
free pass. Do they check you out at the end, like
No.
I don't know.
$975?
Just
I
a wave.
I didn't realize you could steal everything at Walgreens. I thought it was limited to chapstick and nail clippers, which I did.
Yeah.
Baseball
I just
cards.
like the security guard standing there. It's like, are you here to watch?
He's like, I'm just taking notes,
So
man.
yeah, it's pretty much my job. It's pretty fun. I just
That's
get
awesome.
to watch people take stuff.
And every now and
that
then.
looks like more than 1,000. Drop that hair cleaner.
Yeah.
Put it down.
Looks like more
Now
than
you're good.
1,000. Can you please put the razor bump cream back, sir?
Yeah, you have to check the bag, and you're like, all right, I have to take out these Reese's. There you go, 999.
Does that put me under the
The
line?
D-Perm argan oil, ma'am, if you wouldn't mind just putting that back. Come on. We're all in this together.
Ma'am, there is not enough cocoa butter to go.
We have a shortage.
It's shea butter, motherfucker! All right.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
I forgot. I forgot about the. I've confused my humectants. All right, let's get to
happy
this.
about it.
We would never be able to talk about this on YouTube. Antibody-dependent enhancement syndrome. Okay, so this is what I wanted to talk about really quickly. And let me just tell you that there are things that we'll go through here as far as data, and there are things that we can claim, obviously, things that are irrefutable. And then, and here's the thing, we will be making some inferences. None of us are doctors. None of us are telling you how to handle your own health. And we should be able to have these discussions on YouTube when presenting opposing points of view from qualified doctors, including Nobel Prize winners. This actually gives you guys a good contrast as the kind of thing that we would love to cover on YouTube and never would be able to. Right. And you'll see it's not nearly as controversial as chest feeding. But YouTube doesn't allow it. So this is what we've been told, okay? The premise has been set. The stage has been set. This is a pandemic of the unvaccinated.
Right.
And early on it was, if you're vaccinated, you don't need a mask because you can't catch it, you can't spread it. Well, okay, you can catch it, you can spread it, but you won't get hospitalized and you won't die from it. And then it turned out, well, if it's more than 4 months after, you can get hospitalized, you can die from it. And we're going to do another segment somewhere later this week or next week. Fauci's repeatedly said, you know, if you have the vaccine, you are 10 times less likely to die. Or I cannot find a single study, not one controlled study or trial that confirms that. I can find studies and trials outside, like there are some that come out of Denmark, there are some that come out of Israel, that say that's not true because that's a huge margin, and I'm still looking for it. If someone can let me know in chat, we'll be taking your chat later. Whichever study exists, and not a population study where the CDC just says this amount of people died and this amount of people didn't die, but an actual study in a controlled environment with vaccinated and unvaccinated showing that you are 10 times less likely to die or be hospitalized with the vaccine. I haven't seen it, but that's not even what I want to talk about today. It's a pandemic of the unvaccinated. Okay, here's the thing. We are now seeing some serious problems with people who've been vaccinated. That's why they're talking about potentially a third booster shot. They said the Johnson & Johnson should have been 2 shots. Missed out on a cash grab there.
Oops.
And let's keep in mind that before the vaccines came out, people were warning about some potential negative consequences that could take place. And not because of malice, but because sometimes when you vaccinate and you do it quickly, and maybe if the vaccine isn't effective, it can create other problems like more infectious variants or problems with the immune response to new variants. And do you know who was warning against this?
Who?
Well, you guys call him Dr. Fauci. The public knows him as the truth and the law.
There's safety associated. Does the vaccine make you worse? And there are diseases in which you vaccinate someone, they get infected with what you're trying to protect them with, and you actually enhance the infection. You can get a good feel for that in animal models. So that's going to be interspersed at the same time that we're testing. We're going to try and make sure we don't have enhancement. So the worst possible thing you could do is vaccinate somebody to prevent infection and actually make them worse.
Now, just to be clear, before you guys try and argue against me, I understand what you're about to say. You're about to say, well, he's talking about traditional vaccines where you inject with the actual virus. No, he used that as an example because he's incredibly inarticulate. Then he said we have to make sure that with this vaccine, referring to the vaccines that were currently being worked on, that is not the case. All right? So don't try and lawyer us out of this. We all understand what he was saying, and if you watch the clip in full context, it's incredibly clear. He's not the only one who was ringing the alarm bell. And again, they weren't saying this would happen. They were all saying it could happen. Robert Malone, one of the inventors of the mRNA technology, agreed with Dr. Fauci.
Antibody-dependent enhancement. So it's one of a spectrum of, it's the easiest one to explain, of a spectrum of effects that can occur with vaccines in which the vaccination actually makes the disease worse. The most notable example is what happened in the 60s with respiratory syncytial virus, a vaccine, a virus which kills young infants with fairly high frequency. And it was slated as being the next pediatric vaccine to be developed after the classical MMR series. And it was found that as they deployed this in the initial clinical trials,
you couldn't turn a light on.
The children and infants that received the vaccine actually died at a much
Is
higher
my horse in
frequency than
frame?
the negative controls that had not received the vaccine. So antibody-dependent enhancement is the vaccinologist's worst nightmare, that the product that you work so hard to create actually causes worse disease. We have the flawed clinical studies. I acknowledge that they're far from perfect.
Like me, like Nicolas
designed
Cage on the cover of
to not
Face
be
Off.
able to detect certain types of adverse events.
It's the least
Specifically,
interesting
one
man
thing
in the
we're
world.
not designed to detect is antibody-dependent enhancement. And that's recognized by the FDA because in the FDA authorization letter for emergency use authorization, they specifically say that the data are not sufficient to rule out antibody-dependent enhancement. It remains a significant risk, and suggested to the vaccine companies that they should do follow-on clinical studies to detect the presence or absence of antibody-dependent enhancement. But they didn't insist that the vaccine companies do that. And the vaccine companies, as near as I can tell from looking at clinicaltrials.gov in the literature, the vaccine companies decided to take a pass and not investigate whether or not ADE would occur.
So let me just let me just repeat this. You had Dr. Fauci saying that this is a possibility. Right. I was talking about antibody enhancement dependency syndrome. Sorry, I might get the acronym wrong here because it's tough for me to always remember.
No syndrome.
What?
No syndrome.
No syndrome. Oh, I'm just adding the. Well, I have AIDS on the brain because we have Fauci.
Oh, you got AIDS. Why? Because that guy just admitted to inventing it?
Right. Yeah, effectively.
Wow.
But the good thing is Fauci spent a lot of money to cure it, and whoops, you're all dead.
Oopsies.
Don't worry, I'll put up some flags. So
they'll be white and pretty.
They'll be white and pretty, and then I'll go out and throw the first pitch, and I'll have it laminated from tops. I got you back.
What am I going to do with all this HIV I got laying around? Oh, I know. It's the new vaccine.
Yeah.
Hey.
What do we do with the rest of it? Put it in the Activia yogurt. The hell do I care? So look,
am I wrong on this? This is terrifying.
No, this is absolutely terrifying. Fauci warned, saying it's a possibility. Yeah. Okay. Then there were letters that were being sent. This doctor was talking about one of the inventors. I don't know if he's the patent holder of the mRNA vaccine. I know he's one of the inventors, the creators of it. Talked about the FDA saying, "Hey, we cannot even exclude this as a risk, and you guys need to do follow-up studies." They have not. Now we have. Again, these are all quacks. Luc Montagnier, who also happened to win the Nobel Prize for discovering HIV, must have discovered it from the last guy.
Yeah. Discovered it.
Yeah. He sent him an office Christmas gift. He's like, "Oh, what's this?" One guess.
I had a lot of fun finding it.
So Luc Montagnier discovered HIV, also won the Nobel Prize. He has also, and this is now, he has been saying since the vaccine that yes, this is what is happening with the vaccine. Here he is.
Et donc vous voyez toujours dans les pays, même pour là maintenant, c'est pareil, vous avez la courbe des vaccinations et la courbe des morts maintenant qui suit. Je suis de près, si vous voulez, des expériences qui sont faites in situ, c'est-à-dire sur des patients, des malades, qui sont devenus infectés par le corona après une vaccination. Hein? Et je veux vous montrer que ce qui est apparu, c'est un virus variant qui résiste à la vaccination.
Comment peut-on vacciner en période épidémique? Expliquez-moi.
C'est impensable. Le silence, si vous voulez, beaucoup de gens savent ça. Les épidémiologistes le savent, tout ça. Ce sont des anticorps produits par le
Picture Danny DeVito, who's been on fire.
À l'infection d'être plus forte.
Repeatedly.
C'est ce qu'on appelle les antibody depending enhancement, c'est-à-dire des anticorps qui favorisent une infection. L'anticorps va se fixer sur le virus et à ce moment-là, il y a des récepteurs aux anticorps que nous avons dans nos macrophages, etc., qui vont à ce moment-là piquer le virus, pas par hasard, mais enfin du fait même qu'il est lié à des anticorps. Vous voyez, il est clair que les nouveaux variants sont créés par la sélection des anticorps produits par la vaccination.
So, again, for people listening on audio, Nobel Prize winner. He is saying, they said, should we be vaccinating this pandemic? He said, it's absolutely unthinkable.
Right.
He said, I absolutely think that we're seeing, I'll just keep saying AIDS from now on. AIDS. Or
AIDS.
AIDS. Here's kind of, I don't want to get too, again, I'm not a doctor, so I would encourage you to go read their studies that we have up there that have been published. Some have been published in French journals. I believe some have been published in Danish journals. All the references are available at loudwithcarter.com. I would encourage you to read up on it. Let me summarize it for you. It's that the mRNA COVID vaccine is so narrowly tailored, basically, to a certain spike protein, it's theorized that it could encourage variants to grow and to spread, and that could be a sign of antibody enhancement dependence.
Right, and so they already gave you one case of this happening in the 1960s with was RSV or RVS, whatever it was, and then measles was another one that actually happened where they came out with a vaccine that actually ended up doing more harm than good and was an example of this. But you don't have to go back to the 1960s, right? Because it's like, oh, well, that was the 1960s. We've gotten so much better. All right.
And to be clear, that's not the measles vaccine that we use now.
No. It had to be another one because this one actually killed
And just to be clear, that's why people say, well, you know what, your kids get vaccinated all the time. Do you know why? Because we had oopsies with other measles vaccines, and it went through a process. That's why it's not the same as an experimental, whatever you would call, some people say gene therapy. It's not the same as an experimental mRNA vaccine that has never made it through trials and gone to market first, where you are effectively the large-scale trial. With the measles vaccine, it happened. People died. They said, oops, we'll create another one. And now, several down the line, is where we have said, okay, we can safely get our children vaccinated against measles. So it's actually, it's a counter-argument to the left's own argument that what's different? The scientific process determines it's different.
Right. And by the way, I'm glad you brought that up. But how long do you think it took them to develop the measles vaccine? It's the fastest in history, by the way. Up until, last year.
4 years.
4 years. That was fantastic. Steven knows vaccines.
Steven knows vaccines.
Like a whole new segment, right? So it took 4 years. That was the fastest one. And phase 3 trials are typically whenever they get into the, what are the side effects of this? You were right. We're basically living the phase 3 trial, unfortunately, right now to some degree, just because of how fast it's gone. But 2016, right? So modern medicine existed in 2016, last I checked. But it said the dengue virus was designed, they did a vaccine to protect in the Philippines, right? So listen to the numbers. The vaccine was given to 800,000 children in the Philippines. 14 out of 800,000 vaccinated children died after encountering the dengue virus in the community. And they hypothesized, they didn't prove, they hypothesized that it could be caused by ADE. and pulled it from kids under, I believe, 9 years of age.
Whereas right now, the CDC says it's 7,000 breakthrough cases, right?
Right.
Led to death. That's the numbers that they give you. It's more than 14.
Right. Well, and that's what I'm saying here. This article then goes on to say, well, there's no evidence. Right? There's no evidence in the Philippines that this happened, but yet
it was
this
enough
is
of a
referred to
concern
as a case where you hypothesize that it might be happening.
Why? Because it's happened before. Measles, the RSV vaccine. There have been other coronavirus vaccines as well. This is not a new thing, and Fauci himself said that it's a risk. So, did you say that was the dengue virus?
A dengue virus.
Was that the song? The dang, de dang, de dang, de dang, dang,
No.
dang. Okay,
that's just the one you do.
It was like a virus.
That'd be pretty tasteless for a club song.
I know.
It'd be like going in like, I got lupus, bringing in lupus for you. People would be like, oh, that's not my jam.
Well, who did the AZT cocktail? Wasn't that the same issue that it actually was causing more deaths, like eventually? That it broke down the immune system?
I don't know everything about AZT. I know there are arguments on both sides. I know that I don't think it's very widely used today. And I also know that that's where the right to try came from. This term that we've heard, the right to try, came from under Fauci with AIDS when these patients were saying we have the right to try. And what do they want the right to try? Certain immunosuppressants, anabolic steroids for wasting symptoms, right? And Fauci said, no, we're gonna bet it all on AZT.
Marijuana for appetite.
Right. Things like that.
And they wanted to eat.
It does work.
Listen, the last thing we want is a bunch of queers with the munchies.
You know what they eat.
Next thing you know, they'll be chest feeding. It's gross. I am the law. Okay, so here's something else. When people say, well, it's a pandemic of the unvaccinated. All right, let's look at the data. There's an increase in deaths from, let's say, August 2021 to August 2020 overall. Now, I know what you guys will say, well, not everyone has been vaccinated, but here's the issue, and you can see this with a lot of countries. That happens in the UK. In other words, the argument that people, and there are charts around there, we'll do some more probably tomorrow. I don't know if we have more countries, Token on. Do we have more countries here today?
Not
Just
today.
the United States.
Today.
So there are a bunch of countries where this is the case. It's hard to separate which countries have used, for example, Johnson & Johnson vaccine or AstraZeneca. But there are a lot of countries that have had mass vaccination programs and then more deaths. Now, I know what the left said. They say, well, hold on, they didn't reach a full herd vaccination status. Still, if you are at a point with 20, 30, 40, 50, 60% of the population vaccinated, whatever number, if it's a low number, why would you have more deaths regardless? If it's 20%, that's still 20% of the population, better than before, right? So why would there be more deaths in July, in August? And so the argument that they'll often use is, well, because this is just the Delta variant. But hold on a second then, why does it follow, in most cases, the seasonality of the previous COVID outbreaks?
Yeah.
Wouldn't the Delta variant just be the Delta variant all the time? Right? Think about that. In other words, we still have the peaks and the dips post Delta variant. Only the peaks and the dips all tend to be higher after we have more people who have been vaccinated. The point is this: if the vaccines were designed to curb death in society at large, there's a lot of data that shows it hasn't worked. And again, when we're talking about aid, we are talking about the possibility.
Right.
This is, again, inferences that are being made by doctors. I want to be clear. I am not declaring this to be so, but it's enough of a concern that I think we need to bring it to you, especially when Fauci warned about it and the FDA warned about it, and now we have doctors saying it is happening, that can actually be the catalyst for variants. Why? Because a virus doesn't want to kill its host. A virus will look for a new way to reach a host. And if a vaccine works against one specific strain of COVID, life finds a way.
Right. Well, the normal progression for a virus is it either potentially can kill the host. Obviously, it doesn't want to do that because it wants to live, or the host kills it, right? That's usually the outcome that we see. When you give somebody a vaccine that basically just says, now you can live with it, and then you can still pass it on, and people that have been vaccinated can still get it.
In other words,
basically
the
just
vaccinated,
everything it wanted.
The vaccinated, now with the Delta variant, could be argued, are affecting they're actually the ones hurting the unvaccinated more than the other way around.
Jerks.
Think about it. Because the unvaccinated are more likely to get, they were more likely to get the Alpha strain, right? The first strain.
Right.
The Wuhan strain. And with
the OG strain.
The OG strain. The OG Kush. They would be more likely to get that, and they, unlike with the vaccine, and we have seen this is something that is irrefutable, natural immunity. These people tend to have more effective antibodies against all strains of COVID. There's absolutely no doubt about that. We talked about Mayo, the Moderna vaccine, 42% effective against Delta variant. They were effective against the original strain. They're not nearly as effective against Delta. Even Fauci has said this. Let's just admit that that's true, and it's not true with natural immunity. So what happens is you have people who have natural immunity with the original strain, they're not catching Delta and passing it on, theoretically, to people who are vaccinated. But people who are vaccinated can catch Delta very easily, not know it, and transmit it to other people who haven't had any form of COVID yet. The point is, this argument can be made both ways if you want to other and demonize half of society.
Right.
So I keep for aid.
Antibody-dependent enhancement.
Antibody-dependent enhancement. It causes the body to produce these non-neutralizing antibodies that actually can facilitate disease. Here's the WHO chief scientist, Dr. Soumya. I'm not going to get this last name.
Yeah.
Soumya Swaminathan.
That's pretty close, I think.
No, that's got to be it.
Yeah. Molnupiravir.
It's Swami.
Like, yeah, who invented the new Molnupiravir? Dr. Soumya Swaminathan? Just kill me.
Swami Nathan. Soyuma. Could I get a real doctor?
So Dr. Swaminathan said that the boosters could lead to variants, but she thought it could be due to the virus circulating among the unvaccinated. This is what she said. I'm afraid that this booster recommendation will only lead to more variants, and perhaps we're heading into an even more dire situation. Quanta Magazine. This is a science publication, just to be clear. I know you guys are going, what's Quanta? It's boring. Nobody really cares. Scientists think they're more important than they always are in society at large, but they do have these magazines and these journals where people get published, and apparently it's a big thing.
Yeah, I've seen my coffee table.
Have you? Yeah. Right next to Cat Fancy.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
It's a spread this month on Swaminathan. She is Siamese.
Well, you see the boosters that she was referencing there. There's actually a really hilarious part to that because they're like, yeah, if you have either the Pfizer vaccine or the Moderna vaccine, a booster of any of them seems to have roughly the same. But if you took the Johnson & Johnson, any booster will actually do better for you.
Yeah.
It's really fun. It's like, how many ways can you come up with to say that the Johnson & Johnson vaccine sucks?
Yeah. I took the Johnsonville vaccine.
Did you? Nice. I took the Ballpark Frank.
Ooh.
Quanta Magazine published this article in 2018, theorizing vaccines could be pushing pathogens to evolve. Immunization is also making once rare non-existent genetic variants of pathogens more prevalent, presumably because vaccine-primed antibodies can't as easily recognize and attack shapeshifters that look different from vaccine strains. And vaccines being developed against some of the world's wilier pathogens, malaria, HIV, anthrax, or as Fauci calls it, my trifecta, are based on strategies that could, according to evolutionary models and lab experiments, encourage pathogens to become even more dangerous. There's been a French study from July suggesting that AIDS could be occurring in vaccinated populations with the Delta variant. The Moderna EU risk management plan from December 2020, this is from pages 75 and 76, include the risk of vaccines. This is from Moderna. Enhancing diseases. It says, important potential risk, vaccine-associated enhanced disease, including vaccine-associated enhanced respiratory disease. There is a potential risk and no increased risk due to the Moderna vaccine has been established. Therefore, no risk groups or risk factors can be identified. However, the generation of binding but poorly neutralizing antibodies in individuals may result in an accelerated and more marked viremia and more severe disease. Who wrote it? Moderna. And they really don't want to have written it. Just to be clear. Look.
That's pretty damning.
They wrote it. Fauci warned about it. The World Health Organization has talked about it. Right? We have a Nobel Prize. I don't know when you say start following the science. Look, this is the thing. We're not allowed to talk. And I want you guys to comment below. Have you heard about this? Have you heard about this? AID. Oh, my gosh. ADE.
Just
say it again for me, Tokenau.
Antibody development. Hold on.
Deficiency.
Nobody knows.
Antibody dependent enhancement.
Dependent and
Have you guys heard about this before this segment? And there are things that we know. This was enough of a concern that it needed to be warned about. Now, here's when my antenna go up. Okay? When it was warned about by the people who said trust the science.
Yeah.
Same people who, by the way, said that a vaccine could not be made within 2 years. Same people who said they would not take the vaccine if it happened under Trump.
Yeah.
They were saying, look, this could happen with the vaccine. This is a potential problem. And then it's just never addressed or talked about.
Yeah.
I would feel differently if Fauci, for some of you, you know him as the science, none of these other people, people who actually see patients, people who actually work in laboratories at this point, and don't just talk to a flashing red light on Brian Stelter's show. I would feel better if the scientists who you trust had acknowledged, we warned about that, but we're actually pretty clear through the mechanism of action that this is not happening. Instead, what do? They just gaslit you.
Yeah.
They're just acting like it was never a concern that they brought up.
Well, and then they bring up the 1960s examples because they can easily go, well, that was the 1960s. Like, we've come a long way since then, right? We've got 60 years of technology and science behind us, and now we can do this much better. And we actually fixed those 2 vaccines and came out with better ones. And I'm like, this is 5 years ago.
Right.
You killed 14 kids 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And now you want me to trust you?
Right.
Oh, I have a silver lining, though.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, there's
those kids were assholes? Is that what you said?
No, even better.
They were chest feeders.
This is breaking. This is breaking right now. We have a new warrior in the war on COVID.
Oh, do
It's Rachel Levine, the first openly transgender health official to be sworn in as a 4-star admiral.
Oh my
What? Is it an honorary title?
And no, it's
It is ma'am.
Well, you fooled me.
Oh my God.
it's for the U.S. Public Health Services, but it's funny. This
Hold on, go back
Washington
up top.
Post article.
Go back up top. Scroll back up top. Scroll back up top. It looks like the front desk lady in Monsters Inc.
It really does. It really does.
Really does.
But the Washington Post is saying
I'm just like MacArthur or Patton.
it's saying that she's also the organization's first ever female 4-star admiral.
Wait, what? No. She can't be both.
A man takes it again.
Are you serious? Again, you gave a guy the record? What is happening to the world?
You go up, give her a speech, step up in front of the boom, taps in front of the rainbow flag. Listen, no sorry son of a Z ever won a war by making his enemy chop off his cock for his country.
Right.
By God, he chopped off his own cock for hers, these.
Something.
Demon.
I'm gonna
It's
go.
great to be the first woman to have this accomplishment.
Yeah,
now I'm going to go urinate sitting down by choice.
We are
Picture
done,
that
man.
broad in the top of a Panzer with a MacArthur corncob pipe. I love the smell of mustard gas in the morning. What was that? No, sorry. I meant laughing gas when they put me to sleep when I have my titties augmented.
Smash that
It's
rumble button.
It's not honorary though. It's not honorary, as Gerald was asking. It's she's being sworn in today as the admiral of the U.S. Public Health Service Commission Corps. So she's commanding 6,000 people that
No, I
respond
get
to health
that.
crisis on behalf of the federal government.
What I
Including
love,
The
coronavirus.
rank. The rank is what I'm saying.
Yes.
Like, did you earn it? Did you
Did you
earn
say
the
4-star or 3-star?
4-star.
4-star
Four-star.
admiral?
No.
6,000.
It's a trap.
6,000 person force.
Huh.
Travelocity at best 1.5 stars.
What do you give to a general when he no longer owns a cock?
Can you imagine
What can you do for a general?
his kids who got to call him and be like, hey, dad, mom thing. I just wanted to congratulate you on the woke nonsense they gave you.
You know what I love? It's like Rachel Dolezal, who was in blackface, but
Yes.
then tried to do the blackface like she was straightening the hair, so she got the perm, but then did like the Beyonce with the blonde streaks, like she was trying to naturally de-perm her curly hair, which was not the case. Is that Rachel Levine has gone from man to woman and then had to go and because he is the first female 4-star general ever, had to have them make the female general uniform.
Yes.
So they had probably, effectively some sample 4-star general suits for guys.
Yeah.
And he was like, well, this just won't work for obvious reasons.
Yes, it's because I'm a man.
Dressed like a woman.
Yeah, just look at the shoulders. Like, how do you just mix two of those uniforms together where it's like, all right, give me the guy shoulders, and I guess what do we do? Do we loosen up the chest?
Yeah, do we? I don't know.
That's nice.
Look at that hand.
I wonder what that
It's
hat.
massive.
Wow. Just
Wondering what
imagine
that hat's covering.
Just imagine her walking in and carrying off someone, an officer and a gentleman.
Music swells.
Another man.
Along with everything else.
Oh my gosh.
He's carrying Louis Gossett Jr.
Listen.
Hey, everyone shut up. Everyone shut up. Progress.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is clearly
Progress.
the direction you want to go.
Yeah, this is, look, if nothing else, that absolutely, it may not strike fear into the hearts of the enemies, but it definitely strikes a, huh? It strikes that. And that's the plan all along. Confuse them.
Yeah. They don't know how how crazy are we? Huh? We'll put a lady in and say it's a man. We'll do the other thing
All of
too.
ISIS just stops firing their rifles into the air.
What the?
Huh?
No offense, but it sounds like some fucking commie gobbledygook.
Why? What sucks is like we're looked at as that's like a bigoted thing to not accept that.
Yes.
Why?
Yeah. The question, why?
Honestly, can't like it's nonsense.
Well,
no, it is though.
Yeah,
I don't care. Take a clip. Show this on whatever.
I just completely forgot about the ADE segment, so we'll continue talking about that.
I don't
where
even
the vaccines
care.
and death rates come from.
I think I'm going to go get the vaccine.
But we are
end it now.
I'm getting the Johnson & Johnson screw.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
It's like,
Vaccine to your head. Is that a guy general or female general? But we are going to go play. They don't make them like they used to. If you were on Rumble, this is, of course, we gave you the full show last Thursday, but we still have another full segment of the show to do on Mug Club, and before that, we will say that there are so many 1 and 2 and 3 and 4-star generals. I guess castrated at this point. They're not unemployed. That's the least of their problems. YouTube, piss off.